आरम्भं करोतु भगिनि।
Namaste Sarvebhyaha. Today I will begin the program with the Omkara and Mangala Shlokam. Om. Om. Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vishwa Yoga Dinasya Shubhasayaha. Today for our program on International Yoga Day, we have a special guest, Dr. Jayaraman Mahadevan. Dr. Jayaramanji earned his PhD in Sanskritam from the University of Madras. He underwent traditional training in the Vedas and Shastras at the Veda Vijnana Gurukulam in Bengaluru. Under the guidance of Pracharya Kotemane Ramachandra Bhatt. After a decade's service in the Department of Research in Krishna Macharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai as director, Dr. Jayaraman Mahadevan now serves as the director of textual research of yoga at Indica. Thus far, he has published 15 books and 17 peer-reviewed journal articles on yoga and Sanskrit literature in Indian and international research journals. He is also involved in developing immersive learning methods of yoga texts. Yogasya Bhasha, a 4-part self-learning material on Sanskrit and yoga, Yoga Vaisharadi, a searchable web repository on classical texts of yoga are a few of his noteworthy contributions in recent times. His workshops on Tantra Yukti, ancient Indian thesis text construction methodology are well received. Thank you, Jayaramanji, for coming today for your talk. Mahadaya Kripya Vadatu.
Sarvesham Namaskaraha. Mahataha Anandasya Vishayah Yat Vishwa Yoga Dine Bhavadbhih Saha Yogasya Vishaye Charcham Kartum Atra Aham Upasthitaha Asmi Iti. I will start with a prayer in Samskrita about Maharshi Patanjali. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankha Chakrasidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. So, the topic that has been decided for today's talk is, of course, I thought initially that the talk would be in Samskrita. So, the topic is in Samskrita is Dainandina Jivane Samskritihi Yoga Dwara. Samskriti or culture, if it may be translated, if culture may be the right word for Samskriti. So, Dainandina Jivane, in day-to-day life, how to bring in culture or Samskriti and that too through yoga. So that is the topic. Of course, worldwide yoga is practiced. The important parts of yoga, which is very well known, the important limbs of yoga that is known very well are asana, pranayama, and to some extent dhyana. All these aspects are very well known. And the general perception about this yoga is that yes, you have to get onto the mat and then we have to do the practice every day for that particular 1 hour or 45 minutes, twice a day or once in a day, whatever it may be. So that is the general understanding, and that's true to some extent, to a great extent. But as Prime Minister Modi of India, so yesterday he spoke on the Vishwa Yoga Dinam, which was celebrated in the Mysore Palace. So it was a grand function. There he said, yoga is not to be considered as a part of life. It's not to be considered as a part of life. It is a way of life. So it's not that as a part of my day-to-day schedule, I do some yoga in morning or evening. The point is that the life can be made yogic. The entire life from waking to sleep, all that duration can be yogic. So that's the idea he wanted to convey. So I'm going to build up on that idea as to how the entire day we can structure by the principles of yoga, by the teachings of yoga, and that becomes a Samskriti, that becomes a culture. So there is a beautiful quotation we often hear in the Samskrita circles, that is Bharatasya pratishthe dve Samskritam Samskritihi tatha. Two aspects of pride for India. When we speak about Bharatam, two aspects that we take really pride, good, great pride is Samskritam. Of course, most of you are in Samskrita Bharati programs, so are aware of the beauty and the value of Samskrita. So that is one of the valuable contributions of Bharatam. As such, there is the Vedic Samskrita, the Ati Bhasha, the language that spontaneously emerged from the Vedic rishis, where they speak about lofty eternal truths. And then there is Samskrita again has this dimension of Shastra Bhasha, being the language of the Shastras. So many systems of knowledge, so many Indian, now again in the current educational scenario in India. So there is a renewed interest in Indian knowledge systems, which we call IKS. So various streams of knowledge that contribute positively, the Samskrita oriented knowledge, based knowledge, which contribute to our current day living. So there is that Shastra Bhasha, the language of Samskrita, where the Shastras are discussed, be it Vedanta, Yoga, Ayurveda, all these have global reach, global, it touches the entire humanity, such universal Shastras. So they also are found in the Samskrita Bhasha. And then there is the Bhasha. So three levels of Samskrita itself we see. So Ati Bhasha, Shastra Bhasha, and Bhasha. Bhasha is the language through which we convey our emotions, communicate our feelings and thoughts, especially the aesthetic way of putting or conveying our emotions, especially the poetic literature. Entirely they can be classified under Bhasha. So language itself, Samskrita, which is a pratishtha for our culture, has these three wonderful levels: Bhasha, Shastra Bhasha, and Ati Bhasha. So this is one of the aspects of pride for being a Bharatiya, being an Indian, being the sentinels of such a treasure. We are so that is one of the aspects of pratishtha. So, and the other aspect of our pratishtha is Samskritihi. Samskritam Samskritihi tatha Bharatasya pratishthe dve. Our culture. The what does a culture or Samskriti involve? Ahara, Vihara, Vyavahara, and Mulyas. what food, how we partake the food, vihara, what are our activities, or how do we maintain our health, and then vyavahara, how do we transact, what are the principles of our interpersonal communications. So vyavahara and mulyas and values for which and goals of life. So all these present the Samskriti, and all these are lofty, our Samskriti. So more, you might have heard much about the Samskrita aspect of it. I will be focusing on the Samskriti dimension of it. Now, how better to understand Samskriti? Okay, I spoke about mulya, value, goals of life, etc. Just to make it much more simple, the concept of Samskriti, it is not some intangible idea. It is very much part of our life. Samskriti is part of our life from morning to night when we go to the bed. So it is embedded with our life. So that is Samskriti. Now, to make it more clearer, I have to introduce three terms: Prakriti, Vikriti, and Samskriti. So Prakriti is being born as human beings. So certain activities naturally we have to do. That is Prakriti. If we do it rightly in the proper way, then it becomes Samskriti. If we miss out on doing it properly or wrongly done, so then it becomes Vikriti. So these three terms. So what is Prakriti for us normally? Just thinking from morning to evening. What do we do generally? Utthanam, Upaveshanam means we wake up. Upaveshanam, we sit. Snanam, we take baths. Bhojanam, food, we partake food. Sambhashanam, we speak with people. Adhyayanam, we study as students, especially as youth. Sambhashanam. Karyakaranam means we do various work, various tasks are given to us. And then Vyavaharaha, we interact with people, transact with people, interpersonal relationship. Chintanam, so we think about certain things. And finally, we go to sleep. So these are Prakriti. I just listed out 10 aspects. There can be more, we may do more. So, but fundamentally 10 aspects I have spoken. So these are Prakriti. Every day we have to do it. Be doing it. Whether or not we want to do, we will be doing it. Studying, transacting, interacting, thinking, speaking, eating, taking bath, going to sleep, waking up in the early morning. All these activities are Prakriti, quite natural. As human beings, we have to do. But if we do it in an inappropriate way, Anyatha kurmaha chet, doshena kurmaha chet, and swartham uddishya kurmaha chet. Swartha means in a selfish manner. So wrongly doing it and doing it only for meeting one's own ends. So in a selfish manner. So then it becomes Vikriti. And why Vikriti? Because this Vikriti will never give us happiness. I make a mistake, I do something wrong, I put a foot wrongly in a wrong direction, then finally we repent, we suffer. And again, activities that we do with the selfish motives, again, there is a lot of friction. So many self-interest clash. So in that sense, Vikriti, wrongly doing these natural activities that we have to do as human beings, so it leads to dukkham, suffering. And human beings want to avoid suffering. So then doing it properly, samyak karanam. So doing all these day-to-day activities, samyak, well, properly. That's what is called as yoga. Doing things in a very skilled manner. Does anyone remember any definition about yoga which says doing in a skilled way? That is yoga. Have you ever heard? Okay. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. So whatever activity we do, so if we do it in a very skilled manner, in a systematic manner, so yoga karmasu kaushalam. So the normal day-to-day activities, if we do it with focus and with the appropriate skills that are required and the orientation that is required for that, that becomes samskriti, doing it well, samyak kritihi, and that is yoga. And then it is not that we have to do shirshasana. Headstand is not yoga. This also is yoga. And then doing things sarva hitam uddishya karana. Doing, when we do things, we keep in perspective that yes, of course, as an individual, I have to do waking up, going to sleep, eating, and transacting, studying, all these things I do, not only for myself, for people around me, because I have to see them as equal to me. So I should in a way be helpful to them also with whatever I do. So samatvam, samabhavana. So again, this also is defined as yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. So with a samabhavana, that it's all these resources which I need for my survival and sustenance does not belong to me only. It's a sama for everyone. So live and let live. That idea, samatvam, that is also yoga, and that becomes a samskriti, because all these again are refined way of doing it. And then so this becomes a samskriti. So doing activity in a skilled way, these normal day-to-day activities only. I'm not speaking about something marvelous or extraordinary. Doing these normal things of the day with doing it with the skill in a proper way. And number two, having concern for not only for myself, for others all around myself. So that becomes that samatva. This is yoga and this is samskriti, proper way of doing it. So hence, so this is samskriti. It is this samskriti that I wanted to discuss with you. And when we do it, then it becomes yoga. As we saw that these definitions beautifully express what yoga is all about. So now let's take up these examples one by one and see how we can, as the topic says, dainandina jivane, in day-to-day activity, how do I bring in this samskriti of doing things properly and doing things with a samabhavana, of sharing the resources with everyone for our daily life. So let us see the could screen sharing be enabled for me? I would want to share my screen.
Yes, Mahodaya, 1 minute.
Yes, I hope the screen will be in Samskrita, because so I just spoke about Prakriti, Vikriti and Samskriti. So it is this Samskriti, and in daily life, so 10 aspects only. We'll briefly see how these 10 day-to-day activities can be done in a refined way, which itself becomes yoga. So Utthanam, waking up, Upaveshanam, sitting, and then Snanam, taking baths, Bhojanam, partaking food, Sambhashanam, transaction or communication, study, Karyakaranam, doing activities, Vyavaharaha, transacting interpersonal relationship, especially Chintanam, thinking, right way of thinking, and finally going to sleep. So how to bring in Samskriti in all these things, which is also yoga. We'll see one by one. So the template would be Prakritihi, Vikritihi and Samskritihi. So we will see that. So Prakritihi is Utthanam. So what do you think is a Vikriti in waking up? Anyone? Can you share your thought? What is, so in waking up in the morning, everyone has to wake up. So that is Prakriti. So what can be Vikriti in this?
Like oversleeping, or waking up late.
Okay, oversleeping, yeah, getting up late, yes. Not very difficult to guess, and not a thing that we do not do. Everyone of us does it. So Vilambena Utthanam, wake up, because, and we know, so this Vikriti, does it give Sukham or Dukham? This Vikriti in Utthanam, this inappropriate or not so ideal way of doing it, does it give Sukham or Dukham? What do you think? Sukham is happiness and dukkham is suffering.
Dukkham.
Dukkha, why?
I mean, in the moment, it might be satisfying, but in the grand scheme of things, it makes your entire day very late.
Okay, so it's very commonplace. Yeah, well put. So it's a commonplace thing, but yeah. So what our tradition says, especially what is Samskriti in waking up, Suryodayat Prat, especially in India's setting, Bharata's setting, I'm speaking. So whatever is appropriate in because the sunrise and sunset things change vastly in the US. I understand that. So, but whatever is not overdoing of sleeping, so that should be done. Traditionally, we see just before the sunrise. It is called as the Brahma Muhurta. That is, if 6 o'clock a.m., 6 a.m. is the sunrise. So 48 minutes before that. So there is a duration of 48 minutes before that, and that 48-minute duration, that is not the duration of waking up, that is not Brahma Muhurta, and there will be another 48 minutes preceding that. So that is the Brahma Muhurta. So that is which is around 4:24 to 5:12 a.m. So that is the Brahma Muhurta. According to our Shastras, the Dharma Shastra says that if 6 o'clock is the sunrise, the time between 4:24 and 5:12. So 48-minute duration, ending 48 minutes before the sunrise. So that is Brahma Muhurta, very peaceful time. So the point is, we have to wake up and maximize a very peaceful time. So if you have to utilize that peace and tranquility there, we have to go to sleep at night at the right time. So it implies that. So this is Samskriti in waking up. So we will have a very good start, very peaceful start. We will have enough time to plan for our activity, all those things. So, and life which is aligned to the sun. So before the sun rises, we are up, and then we prepare ourselves for the day's activity. And even while waking up, we wake up in our tradition with a prayer to the divinity. So we say Karagre, we think or we salute the divinities that reside in our hands, indicating that all the powers and capability lie within us. Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda. Three divinities: Lakshmi, wealth; Saraswati, knowledge; and Govinda is Bhagavan Vishnu, who is the one who the one who maintains the creation. In our tradition, we say Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the sustainer, and also the Shiva is the one who ends the creation. So we think about wealth, we think about knowledge, and then we think about our own sustenance and survival through these three divinities, and everything lies in our hand. So this is kind of visualizing the divinity, the divine powers that we have in terms of sustaining ourselves and surviving. So in this meditation upon the divinity, which is located in our own hands, not in some high heavens, in our own hands. So that is with the Ishvara, that is in yoga, it is called as Ishvara Pranidhan. Salutations to the divinity or the great forces and power that we ourselves possess. So waking up before that 48-minute, that duration, Brahma Muhurta, gives us a lot of time, and it is very appropriate, a peaceful time to start our activity, and waking up with Ishvara Pranidhanam. And also salutation to Samudra Vasane Devi, Parvatastana Mandale, Vishnupatni Namastubhyam, Padasparsham Kshamaswame. With a sense of forgiving, means we ask for forgiveness to the Bhumata, that, oh, I'll be placing my feet on you and then trampling around the entire day. So forgive me. So a sense of responsibility, a sense of kind of asking for forgiveness for using and walking around on the earth. So the beautiful, gentle way of waking up So that is Ishvara Pranidhana. So this is yoga. This is the yogic way of waking up, and this is Samskriti. So this is we can consider as waking up in this way. So Utthanam is Prakriti, Vikriti is Vilambena, not only late waking up and then just jumping out of the bed and then running into the bathroom. No, that's not the way. So Samskriti involves waking up with a orientation or reorienting ourselves, and even our Shastras speak much more. Immediately after waking up, what should be done? You can see, think about the body, whether the food eaten previous night is digested or not. One should just pause. This is from the Ayurvedic text. Ashtanga Hridaya says just after waking up. And then Dharma Shastras, they say, reflect briefly about what has to be done in the day. Again, immediately after waking up, and observe whether the body is healthy or not. If we start slowly bringing the focus on to the body, so awareness, yoga leads to that awareness. So that is activities that we need to do immediately after, not jumping out of the bed and going into the bathroom. So these are the activities for which we have to pause. So in this way, there are so many such things which we have to do, which will make our start to the day a refined, cultured way. So this is Samskriti and this is yoga. Then we sit. So just waking up from sleep is one thing, and then after waking up, we sit. So this is Prakriti. So what is Vikriti in that? Can anyone say? What could be the Vikriti in this? In sitting, just a seated posture. Sorry?
Being lazy, procrastinating.
Can you be a bit louder? I'm unable to hear you.
Being lazy, procrastinating.
Okay. Any other thought? Sitting. I'm speaking about the posture.
Maybe also like slouching.
Okay. Yeah, this is also fairly not a very difficult question. Okay. So we see yatha kathanchit, not being aware of how I'm sitting. So that is Vikriti in that. There is a shloka in ancient times. They used to write on manuscripts, that is in palm leaves. So how do they write on the manuscript? For that, in the palm leaf, they have to prepare the palm leaf and then bhugna prishtha kati grivaha. So the griva, the neck region, the kati, the hip region, prishtha, the back, everything will be, one will be bent on. Bhugna. Bhugna means not very straight. It will be bent. So that is for those who were totally immersed in writing or inscribing on the palm leaf. But normal posture need not be like this, where the hip, the back, and the neck region are, we don't care about how we keep this. So then it leads to, does this lead to sukham or dukkham? Sitting like this, you can, it's not very difficult to think about this. It leads to dukkham only. When the neck, back, and the hip, all these are not aligned, then we cannot sit in that position for long. You can observe that while watching some program on the TV or a bigger screen, you will not be aware of your body. But your focus will be on this big screen, all the movie, everything will be happening. But you can observe. If you have not observed, you can observe later that you will be constantly shifting your position. So you will not be in one sthira sukham asana. Yeah, we will be constantly moving, adjusting, and so in this way you can just observe next time when you watch a full movie. So without means there will be a constant shift in your body position. So again, if we, so then what will be Samskriti in that? Again, very obvious. Try to keep it, try to align the back, neck, and the hip region, everything to be kept upright to the maximum extent possible. It's not that every time we sit, it will be ideal to do this, but whenever we want to focus on something. I want to do my music. I want to do some study. So the first thing to do is not to have a cup of coffee. Of course, you can have a cup of coffee and prepare your mind for that. But first thing is postural alignment. So samam kaya shirogrivam. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. Just ensure that your posture is straight. So the neck, back, and the hip, all these regions are aligned. So this is also a kind of a samskara that we become aware of. This is yoga. So alignment of our posture. So that becomes a Sanskrit. It's a very simple activity. By that, what happens is we avoid dukkham, means we avoid pain in neck or back or the hip region. So to that much extent, it's not that 24 hours or whenever we are sitting, we have to sit like this, but an awareness to correct our posture. So that auto-correct mechanism, we have to inculcate in ourselves. So that to the maximum extent possible, we can avoid suffering. So whenever we speak about Prakriti, Vikriti, Samskriti, it is not for Samskriti alone that we have to become cultured. It is for Sukham. It's for our own happiness and well-being that we have to adopt this Samskriti. And then, so training our body with the various asanas, be it Padmasana, Siddhasana, and whatever, there are prone, supine, standing, all these postures are there. The entire Yogasana set is there to help this alignment, postural alignment, so that we are able to sit. Because originally the word asana means asa upaveshane, to sit, to ensure that we are able to sit steadily in a particular posture. That's the goal. And all other postures, be dynamic or static postures, the entire range of postures are to help us sit properly, all the other asanas. So hence that is Samskriti in sitting, and that is yoga, and that gives sukha. So we wake up and there is Samskriti, and we sit, and this is Samskriti in that. So then actually the Yoga Shastra goes further. It says that by developing this stability in posture, alignment in posture, it says Kuryat tadasanam sthiryam arogyam angalaghavam. 3 benefits are spoken. Sthiryam means a stability. So when we know how to position this body, how to align this body, then there is a stability. When there is no movement, means there is not unnecessary movement is there, there is stability. This stability of the body seeps into the level of mind. That leads to focus of the mind also. It has its own implications and impact on the mind. So sthiryam. And then arogyam, a well-being, a sense of well-being is also there. When our posture is stable, means I have confidence and I have also the well-being. So the shoulders are broad, then the lungs are expanded, I can breathe in more, I feel energized. So when the shoulders are drooping, then naturally we are not feeling very confident. The breath is shallow. And so when we sit in the right posture with the shoulders broad but relaxed, the neck slightly bent forward. So when all this postural alignment is there, we can breathe better. Breathe better, we have better energy. And then we are confident about ourselves, and then we can do things in a very systematic way. And then anga laghavam. So finally, the limbs, lightness in the limbs will also be experienced as we do these asanas. Hence, just bringing back to the core area. So if we focus on this Prakriti activity of Upaveshanam in this manner, so this is what all asanas are for, to bring us that Samskriti in sitting, which leads to Sukham. So this is the second idea. Then the third one is Snanam, the third activity. So these are all day-to-day activities. See, this is not that I have to go to some yoga studio to learn this. It comes very free. All this knowledge is in our tradition for free, no dollars to be paid for this. So only thing is our attention is the resource that you have to put in all this life to become a Samskriti or a refined person. So taking bath, what can be this is Prakriti. Everyone, I think, gives importance to taking bath. Unlike the, yeah. So what is Vikriti? What is the possible Vikriti in this, in taking bath?
Avoiding to take baths.
Okay, that's avoiding taking bath. Okay, that is one Vikriti. And what else? Okay, consider that someone takes bath, even in that activity.
Taking too long, wasting
Sorry?
time. Taking too long or wasting time.
Taking longer, wasting time. As we waste time, we also waste water. Yes. Then what
Not
else?
washing correctly.
Huh?
Not washing correctly.
Yes, not washing correct, not being focused on the activity that we are, what we are up to. Yes. Any other thought? Beautiful, wonderful dimensions are coming out. What else? Okay. So I will bring that fourth hidden dimension. No, in computer they say hidden files, right? So in the same way, Vikriti means can be hidden also in taking bath. We see, as rightly pointed out, so not jale anadaraha, not respecting the water. Yes, we have the water. Yes, cleansing I have to do. Whatever is required for me, I have to respect the water and the resource. That's what I said in the beginning itself, that yoga is all about samatvam, means I need water for my cleansing. I know the other person would also require, not only in my, so I may have plenty here, but if I go on splurging on this here, thinking that I have plenty, I may hamper in a universal level. So always using as much, only as much as it is required. So respecting the water. So that is jale anadaraha, not respecting the quantity of water that you have. And then considering bathing only as a, yeah, as pointed out, cleansing of the body has to be done properly, cleaning all the limbs, on which Ayurveda texts speak a lot. How to take bath properly. So you have a various kinds of bathing details that you have. The traditional inputs are there. And bathing is not connected only to Sharira Shuddhi. It not only cleanses the body, it has impact on the mind also. So not having a focus on these aspects and just getting into bathroom, pouring some water, and then coming out, rushing out, or as mentioned, that just being in the shower for a long duration, so absent-mindedly, that becomes Vikriti, and that this Vikriti leads to dukkham, right? The Vikriti leads to suffering, not only for us, but for the community at large, people at large. So what can be samskriti in that, which will bring in sukham, happiness? We say, we go to bath, we say Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhi Guru. We respect. We see that all pure rivers have descended in the water, and so when we get into Ganga, our tradition that we with utmost respect, utmost reverence. So any water, even if it comes from my own house shower, I consider it Ganga. So it purifies me, and a bhavana, a visualization that this really purifies me at the level of the mind also. So it is our traditional belief that we take a plunge in Ganga, then we are purified. Our negative impulses go down. So that sense is there. So you bring in that in the water that may be flowing in Florida or in New Jersey, even in that water, I see Ganga. So that bhavana, it's always yad bhavam tad bhavati. Whatever you visualize, you become that. So having that sense, so that bhavana is nothing about, is all about yoga, means bringing that awareness, bringing that exalted state of understanding about things. You can see it from a mundane perspective. You can just say that it is H2O. You can just go mention it that way. But if you bring in that Ganga bhavana in that, the experience you get it is exalted. The mind becomes calm. So that is what Samskriti brings in. And the very purpose of, even after I come out of the bath, I'm not agitated. I'm calm. So in that sense, that bhavana. And then there is a Vedic mantra which says, Atyashanadati panat yacha ugrat pratigrahat Tanno Varuno Raja Panina Hyavamarshatu Sohama Papo Virajoder Mukto Mukta Kilbisha. While taking bath, there is a Sukta, Vedic mantra, which says that while I take Hiranya Sringam Varunam Prapadya, it's a mantra addressed to Varuna. As we take bath, this mantra is to be chanted. If not possible, at least the essence of it, if you can remember, it will be very good. So it's not that I cleanse my limbs alone, the body alone, that let the negative tendencies or also let them be cleansed. What are the negative tendencies that I want to be washed away from me? Atyashana, excess eating. Atipana, excess of drinking. Ugra pratigraha means accumulating too much for myself. So means whatever is needed for my sustenance survival, I earn and save it. But excess or aggressive accumulation. So all these things, these are negative tendencies. So these are swartha, means these are selfishness. Let all these negative tendencies go away from me. So soham apapo virajo nirmukto mukta kilbishaha. So let negative tendencies in me subside. It is this prayer. So with this prayer, if we take bath, this is a Varuna Snana mantra we do. So by this, what happens? In Yoga Sutra, we see Anta Shaucha and Bahya Shaucha. Internal cleansing and external cleansing. Both of them are necessary. It's not that we maintain a clean physical frame. The mind should also be cleansed. The Snana activity, the taking bath activity, we can add more to the taking bath activity, so it becomes value added and we are cleansed internally and externally in this way. The Yoga Sutra says, what is the outcome of such a cleansing activity? Snana itself can be transformed into such a higher activity. So then what happens? Sattva Shuddhi, Saumanasya, Aikagriya, Indriya Jaya, Atma Darshana, Yogyatwanicha. Shaucham is cleanliness. In Yoga Sutra 2.41 it speaks that Sattva Shuddhi, the mind becomes clean. And then Saumanasya means a pleasantness. So I'm not aggressive or I'm not angry at people around me. So Saumanasya comes Aikagriya and then focus. I take bath with this kind of orientation, then mind becomes focused. And then Indriya Jaya, better control over the senses. There is no hankering. So behind things. So that also comes down. And Atma Darshana Yogyatwanicha. And our ultimately, finally, we will also be able to focus upon the Atman, that is the indwelling consciousness even. So when the distractions and agitations outside, externally is overcome, that's why people take bath before they sit for puja, prayer, japa, etc. If they want to turn inwards, the external agitation should come down, and that comes down when we take bath properly. With this bhavana of cleansing externally and internally, this becomes yoga. So this is the shaucha that is spoken in yoga, and this is Samskriti. So this is how we bring in Samskriti. This normal day-to-day bathing activity we can bring in our day-to-day life. I will give. So I have a list of 10 activities that we do daily. I don't think we will have time enough to discuss all those. I'm just giving a direction. Maybe in couple of 2 more activities we can discuss, and I will stop. Maybe we can discuss about that. And yes, then very important activity, bhojanam. So eating. So we take bath, we do our prayers and go for bhojanam. So that is prakriti. Naturally we have to do. So what can be vikriti in that? Lot of possibilities are there. I expect a lot of answer from you. Vikriti in bhojanam.
I would say one of them is probably wasting food. Not being able to finish the food entirely and wasting it.
Yes, wasting food, not finishing it off entirely. Yes, that's vikriti certainly. Then
eating unhealthy food, bad food.
Sorry?
Eating unhealthy food, like bad food.
Yes, eating unhealthy food, that which doesn't suit our composition, means our constitution. Yes.
Eating food but not chewing properly.
Sorry?
Eating food but not chewing properly.
Not properly eating the food means not chewing it properly. Great.
Would eating tamasic foods count? Like,
yes, of course it will count. Yes. Okay. And as actually our Shastras also say preparing food for only one's own self and not sharing it, that also counts in Vikriti. So only for one's own purpose. So we normally prepare food for many. So annam bahu kurvita. That's our Vedic guidance. Whenever we prepare food, we prepare not only for ourselves. We see not only with fellow human beings, we share with everyone. It's called as bhuta yajna. So sharing with fellow human beings. So that is also prakriti, means that is also samskriti in that. Vikriti is I prepare, I finish off, I complete, I gorge upon the food that I have. I order pizza, finish it off, not sharing. So that also mounts to, I don't say that the pizza is a sattvic food, I'm just giving an example. I order and then I finish it off myself without sharing. So that also counts as Vikriti. In Bhagavad Gita, you have the entire list as to what is not appropriate. You, of course, all that you have mentioned as Vikriti comes. So Katu, Amla, Lavana, Atyushna, Tikshna, Ruksha, Vidahina, all the burning means as we eat, it generates a sense of burning. So all such food highly sharp, taste, hot and spicy, and then all this, and then atyahara, excess in quantity. So the way the food is, number one, and then the food of the leftover food from the previous day, and then so many such things are there. And atyahara, eating in excess. When do we know we are eating in excess? If we are not aware of how much or how we are eating, then it becomes excess. We focused on only on the food and we are not focused on ourselves. So, or eating the food, watching a movie or watching the mobile or reading a book, then what happens? The focus is on the book or and sometimes the food, and it is not focused on ourselves. When do we know where to stop, when to stop? When we are aware of how much we are eating. So the Shastras say, the Yoga Shastra says that what is overeating and what is appropriate eating is when you sense that your hunger has been satiated. So that is where you have to stop. When do you know? How do you know that your hunger is satiated? Only when you are mindful in eating. If you are not distracted while eating, only then you know when your hunger stops and your when the need stops and the greed sets in. So it is only when awareness is there that of the activity of eating, we know when the need has ended and the greed has come. So it is all about mindfulness. So being aware of how much we eat, what we eat. And so our Shastras also say about in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a yoga text, says Ayus Sattva Bala Arogya Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha Rasyaha Snigdhaha Sthiraha Hridyaha Aharaha Sattvika Priya. Sattvika diet is defined. I'm not going into those. You can look into Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, which classifies about the 3 types of food. I'm just giving a hint. You can read more about it there. And then the ahara should also be mita, they say. Mita means in moderation. The quantity should also be moderate, not in excess, not less also. See, again, when we speak about yoga, it is not that we deny ourselves food. It's not about torturing ourselves. It's not mortification. So eat the right quantity. That's why Krishna says, na atyashnatastu yogosti na chaikantam anashnataha. Means excess eating is also a problem. Deficient eating is also a problem. So we have to work with our food to understand what is the optimum quantity. So a lot of awareness, lot of focus is, and because what we eat is what we are. So hence, this is the least focused activity I know we do in our life. But we are aware about it. What is my, because in Ayurveda it speaks about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, our constitution. Every human being's health constitution is different from the other. Even the twins in the same family, they have different constitution. So who knows what is best for oneself? It's we alone know what is good for what works for me, what doesn't work for me. So being aware of that, doing it in a moderation and sharing the food. Bhujyate Shiva Samprityai. So in defining what is mitahara, in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it says that with remembering the divinity and also sharing with people. So that is, Krishna is a bit strong, very sharp when he says that Yo bhunte apradayebhyaha stena eva saha. The one who eats without sharing, he is a thief. So the words are a bit sharp. But from Krishna. So without sharing, if a person eats, then he is a thief. Means, so sharing with others and then eating food in the right quantity, selecting the food which is appropriate to my constitution, all this is Samskriti. What does this Samskriti lead to? Sukham, very plain. So it leads to happiness. And when we disregard this, it is Vikriti. Then it is Dukkham. So it's plain, clear. So Prakriti, Vikriti leads to Dukkham, Samskriti leads to Sukham. It's not that Samskriti is some imposition on ourselves. It is on us. It is a choice, a better choice that we make in our day-to-day activities, which leads to our own happiness, our own well-being, so that we excel in. These things do not distract us in the higher things that we want to do in our life. See, if food goes wrong, what happens? My health is troubled. Then what happens? I'm not able to focus on my studies, or I wanted to go for a particular game, or I wanted to play. I'm debilitated because of that. So if I focus on the food, then I'm good to go. I can perform well in whatever I want to do. That is Samskriti. And though I have 10 points, I will end with the 5th point. Maybe in a future occasion, or you can think on your own self about this thing. So I will not bother you more on this Prakriti, Vikriti, Samskriti. This last point is Sambhashanam. So far we have seen about waking up. What are the 4 things prior to this we have seen?
Waking up, taking a bath, what's it? Snanam, Bhojanam, and forgot the
Huh?
I forgot the other one.
Yeah, anyone remembers?
Sitting down.
Sitting, the posture. So waking up, sitting, taking bath, and then bhojanam, 4 aspects, food. And then the 5th aspect is sambhashanam. So we start speaking. So sambhashanam is very essential. We are right away doing that. So sambhashanam is very essential for the human survival, sustenance. So that is Prakriti. By nature, we have to do it. We are talkative. Human beings are more chirpy than the birds. So in that sense. So what is Vikriti in that? You know. Any hints on that? What is improper sambhashanam?
Maybe like saying the wrong thing, like maybe like saying something completely different from what you mean.
Okay. So not saying the appropriate thing, yes, and then
Being rude to others.
being rude, yes. So the content of it is not right. The expression of it is not right. Then
Using for wrong purpose.
using for wrong purpose, yes. And one more thing is too much and too less. Speaking too much and speaking too less. That is also a problem, right? I hope you will accept this. Means we get bored, just like you are getting bored with me now. Speaking too much and then speaking too less is also a problem, right? Means we think that the other person understands what are my intentions, not expressing the optimal way. Means Mita Bhashi. Rama is in Ramayana. We see beautiful qualities of Rama. He is spoken as Mita Bhashi, Hita Bhashi, and Purva Bhashi. 3 qualities for Rama. We see in Valmiki gives these 3 qualities. Mita Bhashi means the optimum amount of speech. How much one should articulate, where one should stop. So that is a Mita. And Hita, speaking about the welfare, not means it is one can speak in a most endearing way, but it may not be for the welfare of the people. So speaking what is Even sometimes the words or sometimes the ideas may be bitter, but still speaking it. So hita bhashi, and then purva bhashi. Purva bhashi is a rare quality that we find. Means when two people meet, the one who starts first, making there will be a tension initially. So be it in an interview or meeting a friend or whatever context. So who will break the ice? Who goes out first to make the situation pleasant and calm and makes the other person at ease? So Purva Bhashi, Rama was such Purva Bhashi. So absence of all these things is Vikriti. So there is a Prasiddha shloka, you might be aware, you might have studied in one of your childhood classes. That is Lakshmir Vasati Jihwagre Mitra Bandhavaha Bandhanam Chaiva Jihwagre Maranam Dhruvam. In the tip of the tongue, Jihwa Agra, tip of the tongue, Lakshmi, wealth resides. Jihwagre Mitra Bandhavaha, friends and relatives, they reside in the tip of the tongue. One sharp word, we lose friends and relatives. And then Bandhanam Chaiva Jihwagre. So we get bound by our own words, and then Jihwagre Maranam Dhruvam. Even our tongue decides the end also. For example, the croaking frog attracts snake. So in this way, all this depends. But what is yoga in this? What is Samskriti in this? We see in Bhagavad Gita, Anudvega Karam Vakyam, sentences which do not agitate others. Anudvega Karam Vakyam, Satyam, truth, Priyam, it's also endearing, and Hitam, not merely endearing, it is also Hitam, means that's for the well-being of people. Swadhyaya Abhyasanam, studying texts, studying books, studying wise words and thoughts, that is Swadhyaya. See, what powers right speech is right learning. Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. So this is yoga of speech. So this is Samskriti in speech, which of course will lead to Sukham, and Vikriti in speech will lead to Dukkham. So in this way, we see, I'm just going, so we, in these fundamental activities of life, we see when we become mindful, aware, and do it in the Samskriti way, then it becomes Sukham, and this is also yoga. So as I said initially, these are the dimensions of yoga which are not spoken on a yoga day. So in yoga day, what they say is, do this asana, this back pain will be relieved. Do this pranayama. So of course, all that is true. But this is also yoga which is intimately connected with our day-to-day life. Excuse me. So to conclude, this is one, everyone is capable of doing that. It's not that only a person with a very fit body will be do such yoga. Yuva vriddhaha, ativriddhaha, vyadhitaha, durbalopiva. Abhyasa siddhimapnoti. So by practice, all this can be inculcated. And then yoga is not about speaking. Na shastra patha matrena yoga siddhihi prajayate. It is about implementing in life. And then yoga is also not about wearing yogic costumes. It is stated 500 years ago in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Na vesha dharanam siddhehe karanam. Yoga is not about external costumes. It is these internal costumes of Samskriti. That is what is yoga actually. That makes the change. That makes the real change. So one book that I love a lot is the monk who sold his Ferrari. So these are data we want to do. So the monk who sold his Ferrari, he says, saying that you don't have time to improve your life is like gas because you are too busy driving. So this is a very powerful this thing which I keep reminding myself that what if I do not bring in this Samskriti in life, I will run out of gas and I will be there somewhere in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. So if I refine myself, bring in these Samskriti, then it will be good. And then as these are not very easy, means it is easy to speak than to do. All lasting changes need time and effort. Persistence is the mother of personal change. And finally, when you insert any activity in your routine by doing it the same way and at the same time every day, it quickly grows into a habit. So these are all the things, these are certain statements which we can think about in inculcating this Samskriti, one change at a time. It's not that everything overnight we change it. No, just I take up only bhojanam. No, I take only snanam. I just try to change it over a month's time. Am I able to bring in some quality in my bhojanam or some quality in my snanam? So all this will help. So this session I feel means in our Shastra they say 3 steps: Jnanam, Ichha and Kriya. Knowledge or awareness that such things are possible. And then that should lead to desire, means yes, can I try? A desire to change, and then finally we act. I hope this session would have given that kind of hint in whatever way, whether right or wrong, or in whatever limited way I have tried to bring in these inputs from the Shastra. I hope it creates a desire and also appropriate action to that end, and helps us in making our life full of Samskriti, which ultimately leads to our Sukham. Stop here and look forward to your thoughts.